Welcome into this week's edition of the Railsplitter Athletics Report. I'm your host, Adam Haley. We got a lot going on in tonight's show. We've got head coach of the women's volleyball team, Jenny Michael, talking about the historic run that her team is on right now. Over halfway through the season right now, they're in the top part. They're actually the #1 team inside of the South Atlantic Conference. We'll talk to her about their current run as well as some other things going on. We've also got some other things from homecoming. It was 2 weeks ago that we're going to show you tonight on the Railsplitter Athletics Report, that being the golf house dedication and the lacrosse house dedication. You're going to see those, not in their entirety more than likely, but you'll see portions of those particular dedications from homecoming 2016. Before we go to this first break, let's tell you about some of the results from this past week. Women's soccer goes 1-1 on the week. They won in double overtime last Saturday over Coker at home. They fall to Mars Hill in double overtime on Wednesday, that by the score of 1-0. Men's soccer, they also went 1-1, was actually number 8 in the regional rankings going into their match on Wednesday, but they'll finish off the Wednesday to Wednesday at 1-1. They also defeated Coker at home. They fall to Mars Hill on the road, that score by 3-2. Men's bowling, they were at the Black and Orange up in Beaver Creek, Ohio. They finished 9th out of 31 teams. Women's golf tied for 4th in the Leanne Noble Memorial. And women's volleyball, we've already talked about, had a stellar weekend that led into the second half of the South Atlantic Conference season. They went 3-1 in the SAC versus Peach Belt Conference Challenge before sweeping out their rivals in Carson in 3-0 here inside of the Mary Mars Gymnasium. And we'll talk to Coach Michael about that. With all that being said, let's take this break. When we come back, head coach Jenny Michael of the women's volleyball team here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Are you looking for efficient, compassionate, and comprehensive health care for you and your family? If you are, visit Lincoln Memorial University Medical Clinics in Harrogate and New Tazewell. All healthcare providers are faculty members of LMU's DeVos College of Osteopathic Medicine and are board certified in their specialty. Multiple specialties available are family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, OBGYN, geriatrics, and osteopathic manipulative medicine. Locations at Harrogate and New Tazewell. Most insurance plans are accepted. The University Medical Clinic is here to serve you. Call 423-869-7193 for an appointment.
Welcome back to the Railsplitter Athletics Report. As promised, joined alongside my women's volleyball coach, Jenny Michael. We're going to talk women's volleyball in just a second. What you may not know, Jenny is a huge Cleveland professional sports fan, whether it's the Cavs, the Indians, the Browns.
Feel bad for me about the Browns.
But we have to talk about it. The Cleveland Indians, Wednesday night, are going to the World Series now after defeating the Blue Jays. First World Series since 1997. Talk about Chief Wahoo making it back to the series.
Right?
How much fun is that for you?
Very exciting, and we're like, okay, maybe Cleveland finally getting the curse, of winning the championship, starting with the Cavs. And, I wasn't able to go back home for the parade that they had and everything like that, but I did watch as much as I could live on TV, and I talked to family and friends who were just in the environment and the experience, and I really can't even communicate just like how for an entire city, an entire community, just to kind of come together with the teams. And hopefully, we're seeing some success in the Indians now with the tribe, and then maybe, man, my poor brownies, my poor brownies. But we're doing good things.
Yep.
You're not seeing it in the win column yet, but I think we're doing some good things. We're getting some pieces and parts. They just need a few more things, and maybe, the Browns can kind of catch on the bandwagon?
Sure.
Yeah, bandwagon, what is that?
I have no idea.
The bandwagon, and just, continue to bring even more success to the sports teams from Cleveland.
Now, the Cavs win it in the summer. There's not sports going on then. The Tribe's going to be in the World Series in the middle of the women's volleyball season. I imagine you're not going to be paying as much attention to the Indians right now as a traditional Cleveland fan would be.
No, and I'll just confess, until you told me right before this, I didn't even know that they had won last night. So I'm pretty focused on our bubble and what we're doing. Right now we did have a nice, house divided game on Sunday. My roommate is a Titans fan and I'm a Browns fan, so he unfortunately won that battle on Sunday. But that's about the most that I've been following professional sports all fall, and been pretty selfish, pretty focused on what we're trying to do here.
Titans have to win one or two here and there. So let's talk about, we've talked about the Indians now. Your team is still, I mean, they're lighting the world on fire right now when you look at their record. Only, what, I think 3 losses overall in the season. You find yourself, as we enter into the Friday night contest and top of the South Atlantic Conference, little help from Anderson and Newberry knocking off Wingate last weekend. But right now your team seems to be rock and roll, and they're still getting better, if I see every time they hit the floor.
We're trying to. You know, that's the big thing that we work on every day, is just trying to improve, trying to be the best version of ourselves in some area, whether it's physically with what we're doing with our skills, whether it's mentally in our preparation, whether it's emotionally, trying to keep outside things that life may be throwing at us, you know, keeping them off the court and being able to still, you know, give our all to our team and our teammates when we're here. You know, the big thing that I think for us as we enter this last third of the season is just our health. You know, we mentioned this past weekend really took a lot out of us playing 4 matches in a row. We've got some key people that are a little banged up right now that, you know, we've had to kind of taper back a lot or even not practice, you know, this week. So that's going to be the big question mark going forward, is just, you know, our health and our ability to put our best foot forward. And some nights it may not be with our typical starting lineup. We may have to see some other young ladies step up and produce to try to keep things going in the direction that we have been.
Let's go back to the South Atlantic Conference Peach Belt Conference Challenge over in Jefferson City. You pulled off 3 victories, defeating Augusta, Lander, and Georgia College. You fall in the last one to USC Aiken. I believe it was a 5-setter. Am I correct?
4.
Georgia College went to 5 sets. But you go over there, you take 3 out of those 4. That's huge, not only for confidence going into the second half of the conference season, but it's also huge in the regional sense.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, it was one of those things where we have had some decent success this year, and it had been a little while since we had had another loss. And we talked about it, you know, after that Aiken match. It was like, look, you know, this isn't fatal, you know, like, yes, we failed, we didn't get the win, but we still have a lot that we can learn from it, and this doesn't affect our conference record or what we're doing and what goals we have for that. And 3-1 on the weekend was still very, very good for what we were accomplishing with that big picture and trying to make the postseason on that side of it. So it really was a good weekend. We learned a lot about ourselves, good and bad. Again, we mentioned, you know, the health stuff, we gotta stay healthy, but even with some of the things that we're doing, it's, you know, sometimes you can get caught up, you know, every day in the same gym, you learn tendencies of your teammates and things like that. It can be easy to pick on certain things, or some things go unnoticed. So it was nice too, because even in conference, you know, coaches tend to have tendencies on what they like to be. Some like to be serving really aggressive, some try to use different defensive strategies, some try to exploit their offense versus our defense. So it was cool getting a chance to see other high-level teams and see what they utilized and what they were trying to pick on us, for lack of better words. So just kind of showed us some of our weaknesses that we've addressed and we've been trying to get better at this weekend to, again, continue to grow and get even better as the season continues on.
You go 3-1 over the weekend. This past Tuesday, you hosted Carson Newman. And we're going to talk about that game a little bit, but when you're talking about the injuries, the depth of this team this season, me and Mike have talked about it on the home broadcast. I feel like this is probably the deepest, if not one of the deepest, it's the deepest team you've had since you've been here.
Sure.
We saw some players that I don't think we had seen all season at home actually hit the floor. You've got a freshman in particular, in Lindsay Narker, that has to be catching some of the attention from around the South Atlantic Conference.
Yeah, you know, Lindsay just right now with the position that she's in, a lot of what she's doing doesn't necessarily get noticed come game day. You know, but early in the season, even at home, you know, when we had tough battles against Tusculum, against Mars Hill, you know, there were some periods in time where, you know, some of our starters were struggling a little bit. They were fatigued, they're just not producing, and she went in there and she really kind of helped save the match in a lot of instances in that outside hitting role, at least. So she had a chance to go in, and again, statistically, she's not necessarily, you know, knocking the socks off of anybody or anything like that, but it's what she does. She's definitely got a big contributing role, you know, just with the presence that she has in the back row and the ability that we can have to allow her to stay in 6 rotations. So as she continues to gain more confidence and just gain more experience, you know, she's an emerging young lady for us that, you know, has had a chance to step in a couple roles here and there, and we should continue to see her grow as well.
Talk about knocking the socks off it. I'm sitting here thinking about the front row. You've got Tone Gill, who is, for all accounts, a small lady, but can jump out of the gym, it seems like. You've got the Cash to Cash, which I'm still waiting to find some kind of catchphrase for the two of them, and I'm running out of time for it. But your team, deep-wise, from the front line to the back, they seem to, and again, I talked about it, I think they're still growing. They're still getting that chemistry, still learning with each other, but it seems like they're clicking right now at the right time.
We're trying to. again, we've been working on it. It's a process. We've talked about, we don't necessarily have to be our best on any one given night. We need to continue to keep getting better and just be the best version of ourselves that we can be that day. And, like going back to this weekend, we gave everything that we could on that Saturday. And what we had that day just wasn't good enough to come away with 2 wins. We honestly almost had 2 losses. Georgia College gave us everything that we could handle and more. And it was just, one of those days where things just weren't going right for us. It was like, well, all right, we might lose today. And okay, we're going to recover. We're going to get over it. And we're going to get to work in the gym and get back on track. But, this team's definitely a fun group, for sure. Sometimes a little too much fun, perhaps. But, enjoying the journey is a big thing that we're trying to do as well. Not getting so caught up in the pressures and the stress of just winning and, got to win this game, got to win that game. But just enjoying where we are, enjoying what we've accomplished up to this point, enjoying being able to have the fellowship and the competition that we do every day in the gym, competing, challenging each other to get better. And then when we get a chance to see outside competition, everybody being unified against that one opponent, that's been a lot of fun.
You got Newberry and Anderson coming in this weekend. These 2 teams, especially Newberry, riding high right now. It's going to be a tough weekend.
Absolutely.
Talk about coming up.
We're handling 1 match at a time. So right now our big focus is just Newberry on Friday. They, going back and looking, at their record and just their, wins and a few losses that they had in there. They've been competing in everything. I know they had a lot of injuries early in the year. It looks like they've got some people healthy, and they, they're feeling really good about themselves, and they should be. They're playing really good volleyball. To knock off Wingate, that's something that we haven't done. I don't think in the history of our program. So they were able to be successful in that. Then on Tuesday night, both Anderson and Newberry beat Wingate over the weekend. Well, then Newberry goes to Anderson's house and just sweeps them 3-0. So they're doing some really good things, and it's going to be a big challenge for us to handle what they're doing and try to get things going on our side of the floor.
Very quickly before I let you go, we've been told the Newberry game is 90s night. You get one 90s song to put in the playlist for Friday night. What's it going to be?
Oh my gosh, I'm not very good at understanding decades.
Okay.
Oh man, I don't know.
Well, think about it.
I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. She's going to think about it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go back to Homecoming 2016 and see some of the dedications of the golf house and the lacrosse house here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Established in 1982, Dixie Roofing Incorporated of La Follette has been the industry's leader in commercial roofing throughout Knoxville, Tennessee and surrounding counties for more than 30 years. From medical facilities to office buildings and educational institutions, Dixie Roofing has the experience, expertise, equipment, and know-how to handle roofing needs of any commercial structure, big or small. Dixie Roofing is also on the web at www.dixieroofing.com. Dixie Roofing Incorporated.
Juggling my family schedule is a full-time job. Between school, dance practice, work, there's little time left to worry about much else. That's why I use real-time banking from Home Federal Bank. With real-time banking, I know that when I make a deposit, the money goes straight to my account. No delays, no waiting, no wondering. And I get to focus on what's important.
Real-time deposits, real-time access, real-time banking from Home Federal Bank. Always within reach.
Whether institutional case good or architectural woodwork, Nolan Products Incorporated of Knoxville has been serving East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky since 1958. From concept to finish, Nolan Products custom builds to the highest quality standards to meet your facility specifications while using only the finest materials available. Nolan Products has been serving and meeting the needs and requirements of general contractors and architects in East Tennessee and surrounding area for more than 55 years. Nolan Products Incorporated, 912 Forsyth Street, Northeast, Knoxville.
Well, how many of you here were around when we were doing all the dirt work and stuff? Okay. Well, I can tell you a few stories about this, and not to be matched anywhere, I'll promise you. You see, this sort of evolved, and the way it evolved was we had the waste treatment system of the university was a series of ponds down the valley here. And there was a stream that came down through here, and the stream, of course, the sludge and what have you, it would filter through one pond, the next pond, and the next pond, and then would go into the stream and what have you. So it was just an eyesore, unbelievable. And I thought, we got to do away with this. So we set in, and we hooked up to the city and did all that. Then we set in to tear these ponds out. Folks, there was 10,000 turtles in those ponds. They were all over campus. People were running over them everywhere. They were out on the highway. I'm telling you the truth. You could not believe it. It was Turtleville. Well, so I got back here and I says, well, we got to tear all this concrete out here where we treated the sewage before it went into the ponds. And when they built that thing 70 or 80 years ago, they put all kinds of steel in it. The concrete was super thick. I mean to tell you, you could not tear it out to save your life. You won't believe what's buried right under that green there. I tell you what, it'd take an atomic blast to move that thing. But it's under there because I had to cover it up some way. So we covered it up. And then we channeled the water down through here. We went back to the head. At one time, there was a huge spring in the head of this hollow, this valley, okay? So we dug that thing out and hit a whale of a stream of water. So we piped the water all underground, all the way to the cave down here where it goes into the cave, just short of that. And so we got to looking at it, and we had to have a lot of land, so we hauled a lot of dirt in here from off the mountain, filled it up, got it in good shape, put topsoil where we stripped the topsoil off. Said, well, what are we going to do with it? I said, boy, it sure would make a good driving range. So we decided we'd make a driving range and a place for the golf team. So, okay, so we set in to do that, and here's where it gets to be funny. Well, we were in such a hurry. For the ones of you that knows Dexter, Dexter's over construction around here, and he's definitely inexperienced. Anyone who comes from a hollow down the valley here called Greasy Hollow, that's a dead giveaway that there's something here. So he says, we've got to have a golf facility. He says, why don't we just go over there to the baseball field and we'll just get that temporary old trailer over there and we'll set that right here and we'll use that until we can do something. Well, we went and got it and put it over here. It sat here. Oh, it was awful. Finally, you know what, determined that we had to do something. I don't know where Travis was in there that day or not, but the whole commode fell right out on the ground through the trailer. Now, I'm not saying any more about that, Travis. I don't know whether you're there or not, but anyhow, we had a major catastrophe, so we had to do something with the old trailer. So we took it out in pieces. And he says, well, if we're going to build something, let's build something real good. Let's build something that could be a PGA training center one day. So we got to mimic a clubhouse, et cetera, and that's what we did. And I think it turned out real well, and I think y'all will agree as well. So today, going forward, we got a great golf team. I'm sure there's going to be more conversations about this in just a second. But we've got a great golf team. We're going forward, and there's a moratorium on PGA facilities right now, but that won't last forever. But when that lifts, we want to be number one with the facilities available to LMU to allow us to get that PGA accreditation, and that would be a big deal. But that's how this thing got here. And down there, the little building down there, there was a major catastrophe there. One of our board members tried to convince me that that's where the Army, Confederate Army set up at, and they shot off the top of the mountain cannonballs down the valley here, and there was a lot of artifacts on top of that ridge there, and it couldn't be cut off. Well, we looked for artifacts, and we found no artifacts. So somehow it got cut off, and we got a place to hit the balls out of in the wintertime, and I think it'll serve us very well. But this, like Jim said earlier, this is the beginning of Sports Valley. And down through here, Well, as far as you can see right there on LMU's property, there's going to be facilities, and we'll call it Sports Valley, and we want to be, of the colleges, we want to be number one as far as facilities, and certainly we're number one in many of the sports and competition. New day at LMU.
Well, thank you, Dr. DeBusk. And before we get started, just on behalf of all of our student athletes that are here, just want to say thank you again to Dr. DeBusk and President Dawson for this vision and this facility. So let's go ahead and give those two a hand. It's really a blessing as an athletic director to serve an institution that has a board of trustees and an administration that not only has a grand vision for Lincoln Memorial University as a whole, but also has a vision and a dedication to athletics and our student athletes. And if you just look at this building, it was done in excellent fashion. And as Dr. DeBusk mentioned, this is the first domino of what will be the Valley of Sports. And we're going to dedicate another building a little bit later. But it's just a fantastic facility in its own right, and it's a great way to start out the Valley of Sports. In athletics, our mission is twofold. Number one is to strive for excellence in all that we do. And number two is to provide a top-notch student-athlete experience. And I think that this building encompasses both of those goals. I think when you look at this building and how it was planned and how it was executed and constructed, it exudes excellence. It is excellence. And it's safe to say that there is no NCAA Division II golf facility in the country that even rivals this. So we're very, very fortunate to have this building. Second, our student athletes get to come to work every single day, and I'm going to speak for them up here, but they get to come to work every single day and enjoy a comfortable locker room, a player's lounge, a country club level driving range that's right behind us. They get to go in the wintertime and hit and putt in a heated indoor facility. So our student athletes are really taken care of, and we're so appreciative of that. And I tell you what, I know that Travis, if he was going to come up here and speak today, he would say we have come a long way from when that commode was falling through the floor of his single-wide trailer. So, again, thank you very much to Dr. DeBusk, to President Dawson, to everybody that helped make this a reality. We're so very, very thankful and so very excited. Thank you.
Well, I'll go back and tell you about the beginning of this, and Dr. Birch there will remember it probably very well. At a board meeting a few years ago, there was a board member by the name of Jerry Zillion from Baltimore, and he says, we need a lacrosse team. Now, excuse me, but I'm from these mountains down here, and we don't know much about lacrosse. All I could think of was at Royal Industries, which is the company we own, one of the guys, the executives, always was doing this with his neck and his head, and I'd ask him, what's wrong with me? He says, I got hit too many times with that hockey stick. And so I says, well, what'd you do? He says, well, I played at NC State, North Carolina State, and apparently he was a fantastic player, but I've been afraid of that stick ever since if it'd do that to him. So I got appreciation of the game a little bit and began to watch it. But what really made this happen is Dr. Dawson. He didn't give himself credit for it, but he says, we got to go ahead and do this. And he was the spearhead behind making this happen. So he's going to have to take credit where he wants to or not. Okay? I think he's proud to, folks. But anyhow, one day Matt and I was down there, and I thought, gosh, we got no facilities. And Matt was doing everything he could with what he had to field a team and to compete and all that. And I says, Matt, we'll build a lacrosse field. We will build a lacrosse field. And I says, I know the perfect place to put it, right down in the middle of the valley. There's a good piece of land down there. We can put that lacrosse field in and we'll build you a field house. So that is how it set out, and it got here. And I will tell you, it's brought a lot to LMU, a lot more than we ever realized. It's certainly good quality. It's a good quality sport. Boy, it's a tough sport. Here I am talking to you all, but I have all the respect in the world for the lacrosse game. And apparently I think we're going to do pretty good this year, is what I'm hearing. Is that right? We should at least win the conference, shouldn't we? Should I be thinking beyond the conference? Well, look, we're real glad that we have this sport now, and what an addition to the university, and we're here to support you now. You can take that to the bank. We're here to support you. Okay?
Well, I didn't have anything prepared, but I'll do my best. First thing I'd like to say is thank you to Dr. Dawson, thank you to Dr. DeBusk and the board for first starting lacrosse and investing in both our programs. I can't speak for everybody, but from my standpoint, we are very fortunate on both sides, both the men and women, to have a facility like this. It really sets us apart from the other programs, not just in the conference, but on the national level. This is truly a first-class facility that's going to allow us to recruit against some of the best programs in the country and really reach our potential as student athletes and as coaches. I'm a big believer that you win with people, and we have great people here, both from an administrative standpoint all the way down to our student athletes. So I can't thank the board, the administration, and everybody who's had a hand in this. It's been a long process, but we're very, very thankful to have what we have, and we won't let it go to waste. It's hard to believe 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, there wasn't a lacrosse ball to be found, there wasn't a stick to be found, and we're standing in front of a first-class facility with first-class people, and we're looking forward to a fantastic future. We won't let you down, and we'll do our best to win in the classroom and on the field. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here. It's truly an honor. Thank you so much.
Who's next?
Me.
Wait.
This week at Food City, get fresh ground chuck, $2.99 a pound. Rare Golden Delicious apples, $2.99 a bag. Kraft mayonnaise, $1.99, and more.
Value every day. Food City.
Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy wants you to know you have a choice where to receive physical and occupational therapy. We take an individualized approach to treating people of all ages. Our therapist's goal is to assist all patients by reaching their pinnacle performance in school, work, and play. We have state-of-the-art equipment such as our Alter-G anti-gravity treadmill, used to rehabilitate injuries and pain throughout the body's lower extremities. Contact us for an appointment at 423-869-9923. Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy, 362 Catalpa Avenue, Harrogate.
Welcome back to the Railsplitter Athletic Supporters. We finished it off for today. Very quickly, let's go over some things that's coming up within the next week. As we've already talked about with Coach Michael, women's volleyball, they're at home this weekend, taking on Newberry Friday night at 7 o'clock. Saturday afternoon, they take on the Trojans of Anderson University for a 2 o'clock start. Come out for both those. Saturday is Splitter Spirit night, or afternoon, if you will. Friday's going to be the fun one. It's Throwback 90s night. Fun time always with the Mars Maniacs inside of the Mary Mars Gymnasium, and good luck to Coach Michael with women's volleyball. Soccer teams are also at home this weekend taking on Anderson. It is senior day for both the women's and men's soccer teams as they try to make a push towards the postseason in the South Atlantic Conference Tournament. Cross country, they're in the postseason. They'll be at the South Atlantic Conference Championship on Saturday, that being over in Newberry, South Carolina. And then this following Tuesday coming up, both women's volleyball and soccer will be in action. All three teams on the road. Soccer will be at Carson-Newman. Women's volleyball will be over at Mars Hill. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Railsplitter Athletic Sport. We'll see you next week.